the AFC South could look completely different in 2021. Hey guys, Dick's Report here, back to you with another video, and this time we're going to talk about the AFC South offseason, and we're going to jump right in with the Houston Texans. Alright, and with the Texans, Bill O'Brien was fired during the season after just about gutting the team, made so many mistakes as the GM and head coach. I'm surprised he lasted as long as he did, but now the Texans have problems because Deshaun Watson has requested a trade. He has completely lost faith in the Texans organization. He is not backing down from that. So now the Texans may be looking at having to come up with a new quarterback, and they have even bigger problems than that because they don't have a first or second round pick because of the questionable decisions made by O'Brien. And they only have $16 million in cap space, so they can't do a whole lot in free agency because of that. Texans have got to figure out what they can do, which is not a whole lot. And their top free agent is Will Fuller. Will Fuller has been injury prone and he was suspended for the final 4 games of the season last year, but he has proven to be a talented player. When on the field, he can be effective, but the problem is he hasn't been able to stay on the field. They're going to have to figure out what they do with Will Fuller. And even if they do keep him, wide receiver is a big need for the Texans. They also need help on the defensive line. J.J. Watt is no longer there after being requested to be cut. They granted that release, so now Watt is no longer a Texan. They've got to rebuild that defensive line. And at the cornerback position, their secondary was one of the worst in the NFL. Got to rebuild that cornerback room. It could be a few years before they're back to being competitive, which is sad because not too long ago they were thought of as Super Bowl contenders. Indianapolis made the playoffs last year with Phillip Rivers. However, Rivers retired at the end of the season. Now Carson Wentz is their quarterback after they got him from a trade from Philadelphia. What might be able to help Wentz out is if they can re-sign T.Y. Hilton. T.Y. Hilton's been a really good receiver for the Colts ever since they drafted him. Yeah, he's getting up there in age, but he might have a few years left, and it might be wise to bring him back on a short-term deal. We'll see what they do. And they could possibly do that because they have $43 million in cap space, so they could be able to add some more pieces to an already talented team. What the Colts need to do, they need some help on the edge. They've got to find somebody that can help set that edge and get to the quarterback. They also need help at the left tackle position. Anthony Costanzo retired at the end of the season. Now they got to find out who's going to replace him, whether that's drafting, signing, trading, anything goes at that tackle position. And they also need help at the cornerback position. Need to get some depth there. Need to add some pieces to that cornerback room. And they're picking 21st overall. So for them, it's going to be how does the board fall? They could trade up, they could trade down, anything goes there. Jacksonville won their first game and then proceeded to lose their last 15. Doug Marrone was out as head coach. Now Urban Meyer's in, but Urban Meyer has never coached at the NFL level, and he's been out of coaching for the past few years. So we'll see if he's going to be able to turn Jacksonville around. Well, Jacksonville's in a great spot to start that right away because they have the first overall pick, which we're all assuming is going to be Trevor Lawrence. In fact, everybody would be surprised if it's not Trevor Lawrence. And they also have the 25th overall pick. So they have 2 first-round picks, and they have $82 million in cap space. That is terrific. They have the most cap space out of anybody in the NFL, so they could make some big plays in free agency, but they've got to do it wisely. And with their top free agent, it's Cam Robinson. They drafted Cam Robinson in the 2nd round, and he's been okay for them, but I don't think they're going to bring him back. I think they're just going to start over, and I think Robinson's going to end up with another team. And with their top needs, of course, quarterback is number 1, but like I mentioned, they have the first overall pick, and Trevor Lawrence is the best player in this draft. It'd be a shock if he was not a Jacksonville Jaguar. At left tackle, yeah, they're going to need a left tackle. They need somebody to help protect their new quarterback. We'll see what they do. We'll see how they feel about the free agents there. We'll see how they feel about the draft. It could be anything, but they need to get a left tackle. And they're going to need a tight end. They need a safety net for their quarterback. And the tight end position, it's always good to have a reliable tight end. I think that's something that the Jacksonville Jaguars need to invest in this year. For Tennessee, Derrick Henry had 2,000 yards rushing in 2020. In a passing league, we just saw a 2,000-yard rusher. That is just amazing. However, both their offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator left after the season. Both of them are now in Atlanta. How is Tennessee going to be able to overcome this? Well, they have a big issue with their salary cap because they have less than $2 million in cap space. So really, you can't do anything with that. They got to move some money around in order to make some moves. And with their top free agent, it's Jadeveon Clowney. Now, Jadeveon Clowney, they were hoping could help add to a pass rush that was pretty much non-existent in 2020, and Jadeveon Clowney did not have the impact that they thought he was going to have. I don't expect him to be back. I think he's going to sign with another team. He's probably going to be wanted because he's still a talented player, but I just don't see him going back to Tennessee. With Clowney not having any impact and Harold Landry taking a step back next year, they need help at the edge rusher position. They've got to get some edge rusher help. They're also going to need help at wide receiver. Corey Davis and Adam Humphries aren't free agents, so they need somebody to help take some pressure off of A.J. Brown. Also, they could use with some help on the defensive line. Jeffrey Simmons is a very talented defensive tackle, but he can't do it by himself. He's got to have some help. Tennessee's got to get some help for him. And with them having the 22nd overall pick, it's going to be interesting how the board falls. Watch how the board falls, and then you're going to start to see what some of these teams that are picking at the lower part of the first round are going to do. Some of them are going to trade up. Some of them might trade down. Some of them are just going to stay where they are in hopes that somebody falls to them. This is going to be a very interesting spot in the draft this year. Alright guys, that was the AFC South. Next up is the NFC South, and I'll see you next time.